this video, we dive into the movie Die Hard. We will discuss the storyline, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production details and box office performance. Finally, we will provide reviews and share personal reaction. So let's get started. Die Hard is a 1988 American action film directed by Johan and written by Stamani De Souza and Jeff Stott. The story's foundation is rooted in the book Nothing Lasts Forever, which was written by Roderick Thorpe in 1979. The movies feature an ensemble cast, including Bruce Willis, Alexander. Die Hard was not eagerly awaited during its initial release, and some marketing materials did not feature Willis' image, instead focusing on the setting's importance to McClane. The movie received mixed reviews upon its debut in July 1988, with critics praising MC Chernin, direction and Eric Mann's performances as the villain Hans Gruber, but criticizing the violent plot and Willis' acting. Despite his initial predictions, Die Hard became a massive success, grossing approximately $140 million at the box office and becoming the highest grossing action film of the time and the 10th highest grossing film of the year. The movie also earned 4 Academy Award nominations, propelling Willis to leading man status and launching Eric Mann's career as a celebrity. Today, the movie is often considered one of the greatest action films ever made, thanks to its innovative depiction of John McClane as a vulnerable and flawed hero that challenged the invisible hero tropes that was popular at the time. In addition to its innovative hero portrayal, the movie's themes, which include gender role, against any American concern about foreign influences, have been thoroughly analyzed by critics in recent years. The 1988 film Die Hard was entirely shot on location in and around Fox Plaza in Los Angeles. This iconic skyscraper is part of Century City, an area that has been the backdrop for countless Hollywood movies since the 1970s. The building stands out with its unique X-shaped design, offering viewers an impressive skyline shot for the movie. Most of the filming occurred in around his building, providing a realistic setting for Bruce Willis to save his wife from terrorists. Beside Fox Plaza, other locations used during the production were the Vision Theater, which served as the site of a hostage negotiation, and street near Stadium, where McClane made his daring escape. These areas contrast the sleek modernism of Fox Plaza, showing up both the urban and the suburban side of Los Angeles. Visiting these places today can still give you a great sense of what it was like when Die Hard was filmed. Our trip to Fox Plaza is worthwhile, as it offers breathtaking view of Los Angeles, and you can get up close to the same glass window that McClane jumped through strolling down. Theater will also bring back memories from this classic action movie. While stopping by Dodger Stadium lets you relive the scene where McClane commandeered a car. Overall, visiting these locations will give fans of Die Hard an unforgettable experience, as they explore different parts of LA that served as iconic setting for this beloved film. Upon arriving in Los Angeles, John McClane had to Nakatomi Plaza, where his wife Holly works, hoping to reconcile with her at a company Christmas party. He is dropped off by Ergal, a limo driver, who offered to wait for him in the garage. While McClane changes clothes, group of heavily armed terrorists led by the German radical Hans, including Carol and Theo, seize control of the building, one of Century City's most notable landmarks. 2121 Avenue of the Storm is prominent skyscraper designed by renowned architect Minors and completed in 1969. The building's sleek and modern design, characterized by blue glass window and unique triangular shape, has made it an iconic feature of the city skyline. Moreover, 2021 Avenue of Stars is highly coveted At the heart of Century City, one of Los Angeles' most desirable business and residential area, the building prime location make it easily accessible via various modes of the transportation and offers convenient access to major freeway, public transportations and the Los Angeles International Airport. If you prefer public transportation, you can take a bus or train to nearby Westwood. Now consider the pioneering example of the modern action blockbuster. Die Hard was an underdog, none of the new household names were stars. Groundbreaking techniques were invented on the fly, and a musical crooner was offered the leading role. Celebrating its 35th anniversary with the December 2023 theatrical release, the film's humble journey lies primarily with the man. Jeb Stott, a husband and young father, whose screenwriting career desperately needed a win, and Lowell Levin, the development executive at 20th Century Fox studio needing a guaranteed summer hit. To track back the film's route, let's rewind over to the cinema landscape of 1968. Fox had already scored a sizable hit that year with The Detective, a new noir mystery based on the best-selling book of the same name by author Roderick Thorpe. Rat Pack member Frank Sinatra stares at the hardened detective Geo Leland, and the film was applauded for its mature depiction of the hazards of the prostitute work. It was not until 1979 that Thorpe published a sequel, titled Nothing Lasts Forever. But Fox owned the right and Levy knew the story had a strong bone. The potential for an action movie was especially excellent given the plot followed a now retired Leland fighting a group of the terrorists while trapped in the 40-story building. Rather than the detective's more pensive criminal investigation. Ironically, changed lay by hiccup. After a decade of the profit, Rambo was not a style the industry creatives flocked to. Robocop director Paul turned down an offer, as did the Predator's own John MC several times, but Fox executive were insistent, and he agreed on the condition that terrorists become thieves instead. As from his perspective, Die Hard needed some joy to set it apart from other of its ilk. Famed actors were now the only talent to pose. Sinatra, now 70, rejected the script, alongside a whatever roster of the revenue-making hoes. Sylvester Stallone, Clint Eastwood, Arnold. Fox aimed to cast an actor with the bankable star power, but with production on a fast track, they returned to only interested no-name Bruce Willis. At the time, Bruce Willis was only known for co-starring the romantic sitcom Moonlighting, and transitioning from the world of television to film was far from an easy leap in the 1980s. Serving as the singing spokesman for Golden's wine cooler did not count more the pity. In fact, Willis' filming schedule for Moonlighting almost prevented him from accepting his career-making role. I think I would already read the script for Die Hard once. Willis' Old Entertainment Weekly in 2007, but had to pass because of the Moonlighting. As it turned out, a miracle happened. Sybil Safford got pregnant and they shut down the show for 11 weeks. Just the right amount of time for me to run around over at Nakatomi Tower. Fox offered Bruce Willis $5 million, an unheard of sum for anyone who was not long established legend. Intentionally or not, that sizable paycheck made Die Hard to talk out Dan's loan. All eyes were waiting to scoff a Fox is blowing up interfaces as speculative were an action movie explosion. After owning out his supporting cast with the fellow unknown was his Alan Rickman. Guy anyway. Production occurred inside the Fox Plaza building on the Fox lot. It was important to both MC Turner and director of photography, John de Bond, to keep the films grounded in a sense of reality, which meant using location instead of set. Designed on a studio backlot. The crew was granted full access to several unfinished floors, but filmed everything else after business hour. Since the Fox layer and the executive proceeding, video days as normal did not take too kindly to the frequent any rambunctious commotion. Screenwriters Stevens D. Souza and Commando named about to expand the sporting character, so that Willis, still contracted on moonlighting during the day, could snag some rest for multiple 24-hour days. Working in tandem with Bruce Willis, this also injected the actor's signature, smart as humor from his moonlighting tenure. Willis told Entertainment Weekly, most of what went into making John McClane from a character standpoint was his South Jersey Bruce Willis, that attitude and disrespect for authority, that gallows sense of humor, that reluctant hero. This was also solved the persistent problem of how to get the McClane and Hans Gruber, Alan's nefarious, sued at least villain, face to face after the actor rarely imitated an American accent during a scene back. John M.C. Adams and John D. Bond viewed the action stereotypes of the day as dull and stagnant, so the duo met daily to deliberate over upcoming songs and improvise that aspect would best make Die Hard stand out as a kinetic, fresh action venture. Such ideas involved maintaining MC-Clane's vulnerability and using handheld cameras to enhance tension. The stunt coordinator utilized items already in the building for fight scene prop and stage real explosion across the board. So yes, they find actual rocket launcher, blew up a fire truck, and shattered every window on one floor. Frustrated neighbor had his sleep interrupted, and after the city permitted only 2 hours of helicopter use for the crucial roof explosion sequences, which happened to be the first scene Bruce Willis shot and a stunt that a crew half jokingly congratulated him for surviving. The Bond stage of a 24 cameras throughout the city to capture the helicopter swinging past, and the effect team contributed miniature for the particular explosion. Producers still could not fathom a miniature helicopter as effective. The team was elated to prove him wrong. Willis and Rickman also close to perform their student for maximum intensity. After Willis had a larger amount, Rickman's involved that framed 40-foot storm into a blue screen right below. The shocked expression on the doctor's face was real, because the crew let him go early. But keeping the shocked expressions because the crew let him joke early. But keeping that face in focus was the tricky part. Given how fast the body was, a human focus puller simply could not manually adjust in real time, especially on slow motion analog films. So they Bond as a small electronics company running tests for the military to adopt one of their automated devices into a camera rig. Everyone involved knew from just a rough cut that the effort built up into something truly unique. Theater audiences will necessitate a bit of convincing, as they reportedly laughed and bore Willis' appearance in the trailer. Fox cut his face entirely from the posters only to add it back once Die Hard gained attraction. Word of mouth brought its worldwide revenue total to $140 million, and the industry was salvation. The remarkably human characters of McClane's sequel powered delightful and frustrating pivoted action heroes away from the over stereotype that once dominated American culture. A franchise of 5 additional films followed suit, and the career of the 3 leading men changed trajectory at lightning speed. Willis was one of the highest grossing actors of his time, Rickman an icon of villainy after his debut film role, and Reginald led the popular sitcom Family Matter for 9 seasons. In a lovely bite of the circular irony, instead of Rambo in an office building, for a decade afterward, action pictures while drawn to Die Hard in a location in hope of copying the formula for guaranteed success. The star himself agrees. If I was going to make an action movie today and I had not done Die Hard, I would totally write it off. Bruce Willis said, all the Die Hard will be judged against the first one. Nothing about Die Hard was guaranteed except the atrocity of those getting it behind the scene. The term movie magic made strike as cliché, but even 35 years later, with countless imitators, few action films remain as that. Electric and is cinematically satisfying, and none spark as many hearty debate. Die Hard has a prequel most fans missed. Year 1 tells the tale of a young Johann McClane in his first year on the force during the Die Hard Year 1 was written by Howard Chaykin, with art by Stephen Thompson. The 8-issue limited series was published in 2009-2010, a few years before Bruce Willis' final on-screen outing as the legendary John McClane. Year 1 provides an origin story for the action hero, going back to his rookie year within Night in the summer of 1976. Die Hard Year 1 takes its cue from classic superhero origin comic. Its most act influences in the Batman Year 1, with the series seeking to do for Johan McClane what Frank Miller did for the Cap Crusader. That is, provide some context for his status as one of the god heroes of the contemporary popular culture. In Die Hard, McClane is portrayed as a veteran cop, at one point noting that he was over 10 years of experience on the force back in New York. Year 1 takes reader back to the beginning of his career. The story's central thesis that John McClane was always a hero. Over the course of 8 issues, McClane makes mistake that he knows better than to repeat on Christmas Eve at the Nakatomi Plaza. He learns valuable lessons about acting in the heat of the moment. As with many prequels, Year 1 is at its peak when evoking direct connection to the iconic original story. Die Hard Year 1 emphasizes Johann McClane's stalwart heroic nature from the start. Even before he becomes embroiled in a murder plot that puts him against corrupt cop in his own precinct, McClane is shown protecting protester from being assaulted by his training officer. It's the same heroic impulses that guide him in the Die Hard film. As an extension of the Die Hard franchise, it's a natural direction. As an extension of the Die Hard franchise, it's a natural direction to go in. With Bruce Willis no longer able to continue in the role of Johann McClane, the on-screen options for the series are a reboot or a prequel. Year 1 is a try for adaptations into a movie or TV series. Its 90s New York setting make your Year 1 distinct from other entries in the franchise, while still allowing plenty of the opportunities to deliver all the classic Die Hard beats fans will recognize. That is exactly what the comic does, with its frequent allusion to what is on store for its hero, even as it flashes out McClane's past. A perfect example of the kind of prequel moment. Die Hard. Year 1 excess ad comes in Year 1. At the point in the story, John McClane has graduated from uniform officer to plain clothes, but he's still a rookie compared to his colleagues, which translates to him having to do dirty work for his care. This led to McClane to not a literal rabbit roll, but instead a ventilation system, in a direct mirror of his iconic role through the events of the plaza, however, more than just a visual references. Archer Howard turns into a moment of reflection on Johann McClane's formative trauma. The protagonist is shown as a boy, navigating the cropped space under his childhood home. He is then depicted as an individual, adding McClane to the long list of 80s action heroes who served in the conflict. These are moments that Die Hard films never had time for which the prequel makes the most of. The comic geeks page also gives him clean space to narrative, allowing readers a glimpse of his internally even as the story keeps up in action thriller momentum. In the end, it is a testament to the fact that there is so much more that can still be done with Die Hard franchise and its main character. Eeyore concludes with a direct lead into the original film. John McClane's first meeting with Holly, his future wife, and the reason he will one day be in Los Angeles at the right time to foil our terrorist plot. If anything, this actually speaks to the one fault of story, which an adaptation could correct. Part of what defines John McClane as an action hero is that he is far from perfect. Year one leaves a lot of drama on the table by not exploring the fault in McClane's nature. The demons that challenge the better angel of his heroic side. Year one scratches the surface of the suspect of the character, but does not fully go there. Part of that is because it depicts a single, idealistic McClane who has not fallen short as a husband and father yet. Year one adaptations would be do well to make a crucial change, adding Holly into the mix for the plot in order to get to the heart of what makes the heart the story of such a complicated modern hero. Die Hard is a 1988 American action film directed by Johan M.C. Darnan and written by Stefani Da Souza and Jeff Stott. The story's foundation is rooted in the book Nothing Lasts Forever, which was written by the Roderick Thorpe in 1979. The movie features as ensemble cast, including Bruce Willis, Alexander Alan Rickman, and Bonnie Bedelia in leading role, with supporting performances from Paul Gleason, Williams, and Hart Bochler. Johan McClane, portrayed by Willis. He gets caught up in a terrorist attack. Die Hard was not eagerly awaited during its initial release, and some marketing materials did not feature Willis' image, instead focusing on its citing its importance to McClane. The movie received mixed reviews upon its debut in July 1988, with critics praising McClane's direction and Rickman performances as the villain Hans Gruber, but criticizing the violent plot and Willis' acting. Despite these initial reactions, Die Hard became a massive success, grossing approximately $140 million at a box office and becoming the highest grossing film of the time and the 10th highest grossing film of the year. The movie also earned 4 Academy Award nominations, propelling Willis to leading man status and launching Rickman's career as a celebrity. Today, the movie is often considered one of the greatest action films ever made, thanks to its innovative depiction of Johan McClane as a vulnerable and flawed hero that challenged the invisible hero tropes that were popular at the time. In addition to its innovative hero portrayal, the movie's theme, which includes gender role, vegans, and American concern about foreign influences, have been thoroughly analyzed by critics in recent years. The 1988 film Die Hard was entirely shot on locations in and around Fox Plaza in Los Angeles. This iconic skyscraper is part of Concentric City, an area that has been the backdrop for countless Hollywood movies since the 1970s. This building stands out with its unique X-shaped design, offering viewers an impressive skyline shot for the movie. Most of the filmings occurred in and around this building, providing a realistic setting for Bruce Willis to save his wife from terrorists. Besides Fox Plaza, other locations used during the production were the Wilshire Theatre, which served as the site of a hostage negotiation, and streets near Stadium. These areas contrast the sleek modernism of Fox Plaza, showing off both of the urban and suburban sides of Los Angeles. Visiting these places today can still give you a great sense of what it was like when Die Hard was filmed. Our trip to Fox Plaza is worthwhile as it's offered breathtaking views of Los Angeles, and you can even get up close to the same glass window that MC Clay's jumped through. Strolling down Blue Lever Theatre will also bring back memories from this classic action movie. While stopping by Dodger Stadium, let's do a relive the scene where MC Clayton commandeered a car. Overall, visiting these locations will give fans of Die Hard an unforgettable experience as they explore different parts of law and served as iconic setting for his beloved film. Upon arriving in Los Angeles, John McClane headed to Nakatomi Plaza, where his wife Holly was hoping to reconcile with her at the company Christmas party. He is dropped off by the Argyle, a limo driver who offered to wait for him in the garage. While MC Clayton changes clothes, a group of heavily armed terrorists led by German radical Hans Gruber, including Carol and Geo, seize control of the building, one of Century City's most notable landmarks. 2021 Avenue of the Stars is a prominent skyscraper designed by renowned architect Minor Jometsky and completed in 1969. The building's sleek and modern design, characterized by a blue glass window and a unique triangular shape, has made it an iconic feature of the city's skyline. Moreover, 2021 Avenue of the Star is highly coveted at the heart of Century City, one of Los Angeles' most desirable business and residential area. The building's prime location make it easily accessible via various modes of transportation and offers convenient access to major freeway, public transportations, and the Los Angeles International Airport. If you prefer public transportation, you can take a bus or train to the nearby Westwood Park station and then transfer to a local bus that stops near the building. Alternatively, you can take a taxi or ride sharing services to get there. Gruber is pretending to be a terrorist to gain access to the $640 million in untraceable barrier bonds stored in the vault of the plaza. When executive Josh Takashi refuses to reveal the access code, Gruber kills him and assigns you to crack the vault security. Meanwhile, MC Clayton's presence is detected, and Gruber sends one of his henchmen, Tony, to take care of him. This scene was filmed at the Fox Studio lot, initially known as the 20th Century Fox Studio. It is a historic movie studio complex in Century City, Los Angeles. The lot covers over 50 acres and is home to 15 sound stages, numerous productions facilities, back lots that another on-lot location. The Fox Studios lot was built in 1935 and has since been the site of countless iconic movies and a TV show. Some of the most notable productions filmed on the lot include Gone with the Wind, Sound of Music, and Simpsons, among many others. You can use GPS or a map to navigate the location if you drive. There are parking options available nearby, including street parking and parking garages. After conducting a thorough speech of Nakatomi Plaza is ready to leave when he suddenly sees a terrorist's dead body falling from above and landing on his car. Shocked by this unexpected turn of event, Powell calls for backup, and the SWAT team rushes to the building to try to take control of the situation. However, their attempt is met with violent resistance from terrorists holding everyone hostage. Located in the western part of Los Angeles, California, West Olympic, written by Jeff Stewart and Stephanie DeHart in the American action films released in 1988, starring Bruce Willis. Bonnie Allen recommends Die Hard was filmed in and set in Los Angeles, but a later movie in the series Die Hard 3 is set in New York City. Die Hard 2, also known as the Die Harder, is a 1990 film starring Bruce Willis reprising his role as police detective Johanna McClane and co-star Bonnie reprising her role as Holly McClane. The movie is based on a novel by Walter Wager entitled 58 Minutes. Die Hard 2 was the first movie to have digitally manipulated matter painting. It takes place in the Dulles International Airport in Virginia. The movie was actually filmed in many other locations. Many of the airport terminal shots were from lakes in Los Angeles. Other shots were from many runway of other airports, such as the Platons International Airport in Denver. Some runway scenes were also shot at Alpena Country Regional Airport in Alpena. Die Hard with a Virgin, also known as Die Hard 3, in the third film in the Die Hard series released in 1995. It was directed by Johannes C. Tiernan and written by Jonathan Hennessy. Many of the scenes were filmed in New York City, and you will get a chance to see these cities on our Central Park TV and movie site store. You will see the New York City Water Tunnel number 3, then unfinished tunnel connecting the city to its service in the Cascades Mountain in upstate New York, where the chase scene in the tunnel were filmed. A pivotal turn scene is also shot in Tompkins Scare Park, which is a prominent location on the brand New East Village TV and movie site Walk Tour. On this tour, you will also see locations from Law and Order, The Godfather, Will and Grace, and more. Don't forget the Sunway station's entrance at 72 Second Feet and Broadway where Johan McClane and Zeus to pick up the payphone in order to beat the deadline imposed by the Mad Bomber Simon. Also, the Tompkins Scare Park at Avenue A and 7th is where Johan and Zeus struggle to solve a riddle in order to prevent the detonation of a bomb. There is also the Federal Reserve building at William and Library Estate, where Simon and his team try to remove his city's gold supply. 17 through the front entrance while the other drove truck along the side of the building. Live Free or Die Hard, released as Die Hard 4.0 or Die Hard 4, is the fourth installment in this series. The film takes place some 19 years after the first film and sees McClane face a gang of cyber terrorism. Filming for Live Free or Die Hard started in downtown Baltimore, Maryland on September 23, 2006, but it did not go quite as expected. Willis was injured on January 24 during a fight scene when he was kicked above his right eye. The injury was regarded as no big deal, and Willis saw a doctor and went home for the rest of the day. Unfortunately, Bruce Willis' stunt double was seriously injured when he fell 25 feet to the pavement. He suffered broken bones in the face and a fracture in both wrists, and the production was temporarily shut down. Willis picked up the tab at area hotel of his stunt double parents and visited him a number of times at the hospital. After the injuries, the movie was finally also to get going and was eventually released in June 2007. Most locations in this film were in Los Angeles, California, such as 20th Century Fox Studios Los Angeles Center Studio, Los Angeles International Airport. Come take this tour with us and catch a glimpse of some of the side in this Die Hard thrilling series. In an effort to stay current, we are constantly updating our tour with new locations and cannot guarantee the presence of location mentioned on our site. If you have a particular interest in the location from a specific TV show or movie, please let your tour guide know and we will do our best to accommodate your request. Can Die Hard, the 1988 action movie starring Bruce Willis as a knife detective hoping to reconcile with his estranged wife on Christmas Eve, be called a Christmas film? The annual debate and officially reached My straight WhatsApp group when a happily married couple decided to launch a poll with 18 votes against 4. The result from my road was a landslide yes. One neighbor even shared a picture of Jade I had trouble to prove the point. But an official poll by the British Board of Film Classification has now asserted the contrary, with 44% deciding that Die Hard should not be designed a Christmas movie. Against 38% in favor, choose some even with the odd chancel certainty thrown in. The gunfight, violence, and hostage taking just don't feel festive. For an admirable 5% of responses, it remains their favorite Christmas film of all time. The case against it seemed to simmer down to the fact that Christmas is only used as a backdrop, not in order to recify some core message about togetherness, renewal, or hope. The post-war era saw a boom in such Christmas film. Take passive classic It Is a Wonderful Life, in which man's suicide attempt is thwarted by a guardian angel who shows him the positive effect he has on the world. Another Christmas film, such as White Christmas 1954 and Miracle on 34th Street, which emphasizes optimism and theme of family and nostalgia. But in 1990, passive films became huge commercial event, with titles such as Home Alone worldwide. Perhaps this is why the Christmas decorations started to be slapped on by set designer a little too library. No one seemed to debate whether romance, such as Richard Cutie's Love Actually, 2003 or Nancy Meyer, The Holiday 2006, starring Cat Winslet as hopeless Sing John, Iris Sandy Cameron Diaz as neurotic, Chitty Donny Amanda, are Christmas films, but a letter's life swap intrigue, which spans the coupling as neatly as in a Shakespearean comedy, could very well take place at any time of year. The fancy vibes are surely part of a further marketing decision to ensure the title's longevity and a second chance beyond the box office. I was taken to see the film as a 12 years old. I remember being mortified when my Catholic parents made us leave early on. When they asked me a drunken pass at Jude Law, it's a Christmas memory I would rather forget. But what make a truly worthy Christmas film for me? The best passive films approach Christmas as an aesthetic or intellectual train, rather than as a vehicle for happy ever after normalcy. Humming, I know. Released last week, Harry Layton is a welcome example of this. Based on Adam Marsden's novel Box Hit, it follows a subdom relationship between Biker and Colleen, set in suburbs Bromley. The first portion of the film takes place during Christmas. He asks Colleen for a date on Christmas Day, 5 p.m. round the black of Paymark. The fuzzy but slightly suffocating feeling of Colleen's lovely family home, with its novelty jumpers and Christmas cracker, stand in stark relief to the non-conforming, unsentimental tone of the in-using relationship. And Ray Spartan, later Gladward, Latin has said he wanted to comment on the way queer relationship don't fit inside the mold of the domestically dead Christmas as copulatives. Like the holiday, the film is not family viewing. Conjuring Christmas without sentimentality is its own skill. In 1999, Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut was released, a film that, despite seemingly having a bigger budget for Christmas trees than most passive films, managed to avoid fuzziness altogether. In a movie starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, yet for a Christmas movie, it is ultimately best to strike a bite of a balance between the cynicism and nostalgia. Steven Spielberg's Catch Me If You Can 2002 is a masterclass for this reason and in my opinion, contained one of the best passive sequences of all time. In the final reckoning, Frank and arrested in a French village to the backdrop of the twinkling fairy light and a gallows. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, at least that is what December cinema audiences have made clear. The 35-year-old Bruce Willis action blockbuster returned to the big screen in a limited release, and it bought in a APK vote grass of just under $1 million. Perhaps it could be fans wanting to relive Bruce Willis' most iconic role, following the actor's retirement from the industry following his aphasia diagnosis back in March 2022. Or it could simply be that Die Hard is one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. Regardless of the vibe, Die Hard happened proven to be box office hit once again, taking a total of $923 million over the weekend and outperforming several recent releases in the process. Originally released in the 1988, Bruce Willis' John McClane became an instant icon of action movie, with his bloody vest and his sarcastic attitude toward being caught up in a high-rise full of terrorists. Despite having a low lead $28 million budget, the film grossed $140 million on its release, securing a place as one of the highest grossing movies of the year. While there is a continuous debate over the status of Die Hard as a Christmas movie, you will always find a joining more traditional festive movie in Netflix's schedule about the holiday period for good reason. Taking place on the Christmas Eve, MC Klein intends to pay a visit to his estranged wife at her office in the Nakatomi Plaza. But his plans had veered south when a terrorist group led by Hans Gruber take over the building in a daring haste to steal barrier bond. Obviously, like every action hero of the decade, MC Klein became a one-man army taking out of the group one at a time until he faces off with Gruber is one of the most iconic scenes in the action film movie. Following the announcement of his retirement last year in February, the actor's family adapted his fan with the news that he had been officially diagnosed with the frontotemporal dementia. While the news drew a over wave of support and love from both Willis fans and former co-star, it brought home the realization that the actor's catalog of movies had now become his legacy. In the last 2 years of his career, Willis produced more than 20 direct-to-video movies, having decided to give his all in the short term he had before having a retired due to his worsening condition. Despite many of these movies being dealt a harsh blow by critics, they will stand alongside Willis' previous work as part of a history of movies that many actors could only wish to have been part of. Over his 5-decade career, delivered some forgettable performances, from Buick College in the Pulp Fiction to Crow in The Sixth Sense. For those who did not catch Die Hard on the big screen, this weekend the Die Hard collection is currently available to stream on Hulu in the US and on Disney Plus in other territories. The idea has a certain allure to it. A cop is trapped inside a high-rise with a team of desperate terrorists. His all that stand between them and their hostage give the terrorist leader brain and a personality make one of the hostages the strange wife of the cop, and you have got a movie. The name of the movie is Die Hard and star Bruce Willis in the another one of those Hollywood action roles where the hero's shirt is ripped in the first reel so you can see how much time he has been spending at the gym. He is a New York cop who has flown out to Los Angeles for Christmas, and we quickly learned that his marriage was put on hold after his wife left for the coast to accept a great job offer. She is now vice president of the multinational corp, and shortly after Willis makes his surprise entrance at her office party, the terrorists strike. They too are a multinational group led by a German named who is well dressed and has a neatly trimmed beard and talks like an intellectual and thinks he is superior to the rifle he has to associate with. He has a plan that has been devised with the clockwork precision involving the theft. The terrorists are skilled and well armed. Only the hardest of hearts could fail to enjoy the great 80s action classic, re-released for its 20th anniversary, with appropriate explosion, defining shootout and smart electric lines, following the bad guys getting shot. It's a film that will see the catchphrases "Yappy Kia" away from Roy Rockers, with a certain vulgar addition. Every pub quizzer knows it's a Christmas movie, but not many knows of its unexpected cinema use of the ode to joy from the end. The terrorists whisper it as they get closer to the target. Bruce Willis plays New York Police Detective John McClane in Los Angeles for any uneasy reunion with his semi-estranged wife. Having failed to support her career movie out here, while at her office building, owned by a Japanese corporation, the whole place is taken over by frantically armed German extremists. The intrigues are led by Hans Gruber, a renegade German terrorist with link to Northern Ireland, New Provo Front. It's a glorious scene stealer for Alan Rickman. It's a credit to Willie's sticky charisma that his scene is not in fact stolen. Covered in sweat and musical, wearing nothing on his top half but a manly vest, and finally not even that. Amsicillin hides in the elevator shaft and takes down Gruber and his whole hideous crew, one by one. The only help he has from the outside at the top. Capable cop A.I. Powell. The suffer shots of the FBI are certainly no help, and the TV news media are needless, to say the terrorists. Useful idiot, finally, his wife Holly introduces herself to AI using her married name, and the natural order of things is restored. It's an incredible 80s time capsule, with Hans pointing a fellow fax as he sleekly addresses the hostess and a coke snorting office worker, describing the situation in terms of hostile takeover with talk of the green whale, poison pill and white knight, an innocent player. In 1936, Johann Scott, son of the late Guardian's owner and the legendary editor C.P. Scott, did something unheard for the media here. He gave up his stake for the greater good. After inheriting the newspaper, Scott renounced all financial benefit, bar his salary in the Guardian, the time and the around 62 today, and passed ownership over to the newly formed Scott Trust. The trust would elevate to have one key mission: to secure the financial and editorial independence of the Guardian in the. That means the Guardian can't be bought, not by a private equity, not by a conglomerate, and definitely not by a billionaire looking for a political mouthpiece. Our independence means we can say what we want, report on who we want, challenge who we want, and stand up at a time when others are sitting down. But this unique model also means we depend on leader like you from Pakistan to help fund our work. If you would rather the news you read was the result of decision made by a journalist and editor, not shareholders or ultra-wealthy tech bros, then well you know what to do. In the mid to late in 1918, I was working long hours in and out of film business, commercials, documentaries, a stint at an ad agency, doing and then teaching word processing, office manager. I spent with my family, but I spent Christmas with John McClane. What more could possible be said about Die Hard? It's a modern action classic by generation's equivalent of a John Wayne movie. To the best of my knowledge, it does everything perfectly. So much so that it spawned on entire subgenre. Die Hard on a blank. Detective John McClane arrives in LA to reconcile with his wife Holly, who works for the corporation. The building is soon seized by a group of terrorists led by the Hans Gruber, Rickman in his American film debut. In a twist, it turns out that there is nothing more than simple bank robber who are offered the $640 million in negotiable barrier bonds in a company vault. McClane, who had been in the bathroom during the initial melee, is left up to his own devices to save the day. He is assisted on the outside by a left Powell, and he is accompanied by several others, including a deputy police chief in over his head, a couple of cowboy FBI agents, and an overzealous reporter. Ultimately, McClane managed to rescue his wife and saved the day, killing Gruber by dropping him off the building, with the exception of some hairstyle and a couple effect shots. This film has aged remarkably well. It's based on the novel Nothing Less Forever by Roderick Thorpe, which tells the story of a cop named Joel Leland who visits his daughter who works for an oil company which is soon taken over by a German terrorist group. Dr. Johann Hamsi who has since run into some unfortunate legal problem, but managed to give his a game here, wanted to give the films a sense of joy, which is why he terrorists in his film are merely bank robber. In his view, terrorism is not fun and movie about terrorism, where more often than not dreary, violent affair. But with bank robber, the audiences could sit back and enjoy the film without feeling bad. After all, people love a good copper, and there is a comic relief to be had among the villain. Also, and this is something I have said before with terrorism, you are often forced to go political. MC Ternan had no interest in the character's ideology. He simply wanted to craft a great pieces of summer entertainment. I feel bad for young people who watch it for the first time, having been exposed since childhood to all the cliches pioneered by the filmmaker. The craftsmanship is top notch and European cinematographer Jan de Bont given the film a wonderful sense of style. Geography and spatial relationship are clearly established, and the camera work actually helped to create a psychological reaction. At the point in his career, Bruce Willis was best known for ABC moonlighting. He is perfect as John McClane, who, at the time, was a new kind of hero. He was a blue-collar working slave as opposed to a musical born Superman like Arnold or Silly. His relationship to his wife is what grew into the movie, and according to MC Chairman, they finally managed to get a handle on the character. When he realized that MC Clean does not really like himself very much, but like all of us, he does not the best he can. He is an underdog and people love to root for an underdog. Everything you need to know about him can be summed up in one shot. The company has sent a limo to pick up him at Lex. He meets his driver Argyle and decided to sit in the front with him instead of the back. A genuinely human moment. I am not familiar with much of work, but Bonnie Morton holds her own as holy. After Gruber like her boss, she became de facto leader of the hostage. Hans Gruber, as played by Alan Rickman, will go down in history as one of the best movie villains of all time. He is ruthless, but he is also stylish, well-spoken, and clearly the smartest one in the room. His fake American accent is not great, but his voice is positively. He is accounted for every possible and even some fun of the government's expense when it comes to his fake demand. His team consists of some familiar faces including the late Alexander, as Carol and Andreas. Johnny Home, the rest of the sporting cast is filled with some great hair. It is that guy. Character actors bring out Well Johnson, lends humor and heart to the film as STD, who has his own character arc that is resolved at the end. He would go on to play a cop on Chief's Family Matter. The late Paul Gleason plays Deputy Police Chief. The agents Johnsons are played by Robert Davi and Grant Delbush. They are overbearing and irresponsible, bringing to mind the old line. We need to destroy the village in order to save it. Some have theorized about the Venture subtext in his film, but I am not qualified to do so. Reporter Dick Thurman is played by William Matron, and after the craft he got for playing a Dick in the Ghostbuster, it's amazing he agreed to play another one. He gets easy in the end and immediately actually plays a minor role in the movie. With MC Challen cutting to news reporter featuring No Nothing, anchors and clueless. Chucking heads. As I said, the film has aged quite well. The Oscar-nominated visual, supervised by Richard Adler and of the late Boss Film Studio. Still however, for the most part it's not an effect movie per se, but the filmmakers obviously could not blow up parts of the building. The Nakatomi building scene in the film is actually Fox Plaza in Century Plaza City, which was brand new at the time and in a typical display of Hollywood accounting. The studio actually charged its upfront. Funny enough, I had a job interview in the building when I lived in A. I did not get the job, but it was still worth the trip. The Nakatomi lobby is a replica of Frank's blood, and on DVD, 7 commentary. Production designer Jackson Jha mentioned the subtle political subtext that the Japanese corporation had no nerve to purchase. And yes, the music, the score by the late Michael Scammon, pays homage to both Christmas and Kubrick. In addition to the bell, there are references to singing in the Rain and the 19th Symphony, both of which were used to great effect in A Clockwork Orange. The Beethoven music is mainly used as a theme for the villain and both Gruber and his breaker too. It's dating the film. This is all goes back to the MC wish for joy in the film. After all, the final movement of the Ninth Symphony is the ode to joy. I always enjoy revisiting the world of Die Hard. There's nothing like a well-executed action film. Not to get all mushy, but when I think a film like this, I think of my dad who, as a trappist, is sitting in a TV room watching some action flick on Spike, and my late grandfathers who had a large picture of John Wayne mounted in his pool room. Hopefully his traditions, for lack of a better word, will continue for a long time if Hollywood does not suck you up. Die Hard was an amazing action film filled with a memorable scene, broken glasses, a businessman getting shot, his big fight scene with his fearsome, his jump off the building. I never watched Walker Texas Ranger, but I not found he was on the show when it was mentioned during a podcast listened to in Rap for this review. Definitely a lot of memorable scene. As Howard Hawkins once said, a movie needs the great scene to bad no bad ones. I love this movie. I did not actually see it until several years of later. I was in HS, I wasn't allowed to see rated R movies, but can't remember one show for. But every time it pops up to TV, watch it. My first R-rated film in theater was Ransom in 1966. I was 13. My mother was always very strict about that, but in later years realized she was maybe a little too strict. It was a good student and I never actually out what a sign movie. And not all R-rated films are created equal. Of course, Sad never let me watch something like Basic Instinct. Profanity and violence were a little more portable, but only a little. Bonnie Bedelia has been acting since the late 60s. I recognize her in the classic They Shoot Heroes. Don't in a pivotal minor role. She had not re-emerged until Hurt Like a Whale, a critic's favorite when she was late. Today you can see her in NBC Parenthood, playing the matriarch of a large extended family. So it was late August 1988, and I was an out-of-state student, moving in, getting ready for the start of the school year. Together with a bunch of fellow out-of-state classmates, we decided to get see Midnight Run at the local multiplex, as that was really the only thing to do in the area at the time. Unfortunately, Midnight Run was already gone, swept away by a larger summer movie affair. Our new decided to take in the Die Hard instead, and I remember walking in, thinking, oh no, they gave an action vehicle to that moonlighting guy. I was not a fan of the show and did not get his popularity at all, and was expecting something mediocre. Great in every way, the story such stuck you in every time. It was an initial heavy rotation on HBO and Cinemax. The only slip was a scene in the elevator shaft, where the shoulder brand on his gun conveniently ends up being 6'8" long and catching the edge of the vent shaft. In 1988, audiences were most familiar with the Bruce Willis as he was cracking Detective David Edison on the hit series. Moonlighting Hand and so goes star Sybil Stafford scored a small screen each week with their undeniable chemistry. It was no surprise that Willis would be offered a chance at the silver screen. At the time, nobody expected the ex-Spartan to become an action hero, so the idea of Die Hard seemed to be a risky venture. However, director John MC knows exactly what he was doing with his actor unknown, known mostly for his comedic skill. After all, Officer John McClane is an everyman. A New York City cop with a whole lot of attitude and a penchant for a whiz rag or two. I doubt that I need to expand on the plot of Die Hard, as nearly every single person is very aware of the powers fighting off bad guys in the Nakatomi Plaza. The real life Rocks Plaza in Century City, California plays a huge role in the film to save his wife and her co-worker from certain doom. What I will say is that for me personally, the film had a major impact on this young movieger. As I was already a fan of Willis, this is really the film that turned him into a modern real sense of an average guy that made MC Clean such a likable presence. This was especially true with his strained relationship he had with his wife Holly, a terrific which made him far more accessible than most of the 80s action hero. With a perfect leading man, it helped to the right villain and what a villain it has in Hans Gruber. Played by superb Alan Rickman, Gruber is the optimum of movie beauty. He is cold and calculating with a layer of dark humor without going over the top. In one scene where MC Clan and Gruber meet, you really get a sense of these two iconic characters and how they relate to each other. The cat and mouse between the two is especially very well played by both actors. Even many of Gruber's minions stand out, including the menacing Alexander who gave Willis run for his money. This is a perfectly cast adventure all around that features standout performances for her as Holy City co-worker. Stephanie D'Souza is brought to life by how well these actors work together. Had Willis not been able to take on such a heavy burden, it could have been a disaster. Thankfully, he is ready, willing, and able. ये भी कि हमारा contented. Of course, it is director MC Tarnan that kept audiences at the edge of their seat. Every single sequence here is memorable, including the simple touches that he injected, such as Willy's discovery of curling your toys on carpet after a long fight, or the nudie picture that makes a couple of appearances, giving in a little inspiration. It's a riveting and sometimes experience that holds up just as well nearly every single action film. 25 years later, after Die Hard 1988 release, I still wince as MC Clan is forced to run across the floor covered in a broken glass with his bare feet. This fantastic film builds and builds to a very satisfying climax without taking itself too seriously and never sacrificing the thrill and tension. Die Hard is a classic film. Simply put, every single thing works with a charismatic leading man, an above average supporting cast, and a great director at the helm, as well as done the excellent cinematography. This is what a summer blockbuster should like. It's no wonder so many other films copied this in terms of the changing the way we look at a modern day action hero. I for one am glad Officer John McClane decided to head to the West Coast and join the party. I realized that I have never reviewed the first four Die Hard movie, so I thought I would start with the original classic. There is not much that has not already been said about Die Hard, as everyone pretty much agrees that is the arguably the greatest action movie of all time. Everything about it just worked for perfectly. Why? Basically because Bruce Willis was born to play John McClane. He is not an invincible breakback, but a vulnerable family man who is forced into a doing extraordinary act in order to save his estranged wife. That does not mean he is not the coolest movie character of all time. The laid back way he took, the way he disposed of bad guys before uttering a one-liner, and even the why smokers are just cool. The only role where Willis comes close to the awesomeness of MC Clan is a lost Boy Scout. You have also got in his breakout. Die Hard movies are at their very best when They are directed by Johan MC Turner. He totally understands who MC Klein is and also have the best script. The character is at his most casually brutal in this movie, where he disposes of bad guys in really violent ways, and this is most noticeable when he is fighting Carol. You should have heard your brother's sequel when I broke his neck. There is a part of MC Klein that really enjoys hurting bad guys, and he is also not afraid to be pretty cocky too. Their heart is almost unbearably tense, and it's because you care about MC Klein so much that you want him to succeed in his task. The supporting cast are all excellent, but I have to say that is so wanted too. To die so badly that it still suck that he only gets knocked out and arrested at the end. Michael Camen's score remains iconic, and I am pleased it's still used in all of the sequels, providing some continuity. The script to this movie is without fault because the tone is spot on. You have got just the right amount of humor to go along with the tension and violence. I love how certain scenes really have their tongue placed firmly in check. Like the scene where the badass SWAT team arrive and one of the guys picks up his finger on a flower and oh comic genius. Overall, Die Hard remains an all-time classic, and despite how entertaining the sequel, artists will always be the best. Let's face it, everyone has been Die Hard, probably even more to nuance. We all know it is a Christmas classic, an action movie legend, and an absolute thrill ride that is enjoyable. Now it was when it first hit theater in 1988. But just when you think you know it all and watch it again, you begin to notice new things, and that's when you discover why the film is such an enduring masterpiece. At its core, Die Hard is a lanty-made underdog story, featuring Bruce Willis as John F. Clean, a New Yorker who finds himself trapped in a Los Angeles skyscrapers during a holiday party gone horribly wrong that begins as a typical Christmas gathering turns into a hostage situation as a group of highly skilled terrorists, led by the same Hans Gruber, Alan Rickman, take control. But MC Klein just any cop. He is smart, resourceful, and he is determined to save the day, one quip at a time. What truly set his film apart from the countless action flicks that followed in this perfect blend of tension humor. While many Die Hard like films, see Skyscraper, Sudden Death, and even the Die Hard sequel, just to mention a few, have tried to capture its spirit. They often shot lacking the charm and authenticity, and Dr. Johan MC Terman masterfully big into his story. Famously, the director did not want to take the job because he thought the story was too grim and nasty, which is why he tried as possible to inject humor and join into the all the way to including the ode to joy. Itself by the Beethoven and at the center. He plays a hero which is not just different but relatable and vulnerable too. Watching him navigate the shows within the tower, the gate and over more immensely satisfying. Who can forget Gruber's dead bone delivers MC Decking, who won't be joining us for us GPK. Their interactions some of pretty present on the day, add a layer of humanity that feels genuine and unwild at the same thing grinding high-stake action set pieces. This sends commentary on our corporate greed. Police and the holiday season may be the subtle background stuff, but it adds layer to the film and still work today. Plus, the fact that MC Klein is not just fighting for justice, but also for his estranged wife. Controversially, the claim brings an extra layer of emotional stake that elevates the narrative beyond simple explosion and gunfight. I will be showing the film again on Wednesday as part of my film club. I was first given this film thought to myself, oh well, that will be fun, but is there anything to say about it really? It was only when I sat down to watch the film again, in preparation for my chat, that I began to discover how constructive this film is. From its iconic score to its pulse-pounding editing, From the subtle visual storytelling technique to the intricacies of characters' development, and even to the clever use of sound which enhanced experience like I had never realized before. Die Hard remains a thrilling ride filled with action, humor, and story that keeps us coming back for more. And of course, despite what Bruce Willis might have said, it is the perfect Christmas movie. Andrea Cornwell is a BAFTA winning filmmaker who lives in and co-creator of Shakey's in Film Festival. In 98, it all began. Bruce Willis plays John McClane in New York visiting his wife in California. He attends a party at a huge Nakatomi building, and that's when hell breaks loose. Terrorists, led by Hans Gruber, take it over, and now there is only one man that can stop them, and that is McClane. This more elastic approach to a hero, while Terminator style, was a welcome change. McClane was human and was vulnerable and quick-witted as well, which was part of the great appeal of this film. Willis does a great job as a good guy. Hans and his crew of the bad guys gather all of the guests on one floor. But McClane is roaming the building. He uses his police skill to get a grip on the situation and combat the evil force that has taken over the building. He pulls a fire alarm, but before the police could arrive, Hans and his group call them off, and the first fire night begins and the first kills happen. McClane's sense of humor is on display as he puts a body into one elevator and right. Now I have a machine gun. He adds a Santa hat to the corpse and sends it to the floor where the entire crowd can see it. McClane finally gets the attention of the police. He drops a body on the scare car of city. You may remember Johnson from the show as Carl Winslow. Why that show was popular is beyond me. That was one of the most annoying and unfunny shows in the history of TV. It was so unfunny that it plays in a laugh track to tell you when to laugh. But a horrible show does not take away from how great Die Hard is. Die Hard was plenty of good villain. We have the cases. Slimy salesman Harry Alice. Not only is he trying to pick up McClane's wife, but is a just a selfish prick. When he finds out that McClane is causing trouble or terrorists, he approaches them and says, I can give in to you. Unfortunately, he could not convince McClane to turn himself in an enhanced blow out of the black, and he said, another great villain's police chief. Gleason was a great villain in their Brave Force Club, and he does equally great here as a asshole. He continually hisses McClane over the radio, telling him to back down and threatens Powell with his job because of his allegiance to McClane. He says something to the effect that his Powell believed us in. He will be fired, and if he tries to put in a laugh track or bringing that annoying yokel around, he will be shot. Another slace is a cut-throat reporter. He risks the life of McClane and his wife inside the building, and does only to enhance his career. He is fake on his camera and take hat off of the camera, which is what many think about many journalists. Archer nails the role. Die Hard is an action-packed classic. It has spawned 3 sequels, and there is another on the way. Bruce Willis is a likable good guy, and Dick Man is perfect at the villain. This is a perfect film and beginning to the great series. To get into the Christmas spirit, came and I watched Die Hard last night. It's the closest thing to a Christmas movie that we have. Before I get into the review portion of this entity, I have to get this out of the way. In my opinion, this is the greatest action thriller of all time. What struck me while watching it last night is that heroes no way this movie could be made today. Today's action characters would try to drown the movie in excess that drag down most modern action films. They would be wanted home in some CGI or firework or bullet time, or they would be drawn into the color or film every scene as a series of 10-second shot, or they would be spent half the movie swinging at the camera, using self-parody to over some of the more unrealistic or cliche moment. I think that's what is missing from modern action flick. Simplicity. Die Hard now What happened wanted out to be a popcorn flick, a likable hero taking down uncomplicated bad guys with a lot of explosion and guns. It does so hard. The greatest contribution to the history of the cinema that the flick make, besides giving Alan Rickman and his movie debut, is a die-hard formula. A good guy with some military law enforcement training finds himself trapped in a terrorist hostage situation in an confined local by random chance. He systematically takes on bad guy despite overwhelming odds, who had planned for every possibility except the unexpected presence of our hero. Makes creative use of local and lot of stuff blows up. This formula would live on the laser film, such as its own sequel Die Hard. Die Hard in an airport. Passenger 57 under sick. Money train. Three-decker Die Hard on the elevator, bus and subway. And Speed 2, Cruise Control. Die Hard on a cruise trip. And a really shitty movie. The formula was stolen so often that they ran out of ideas and scrapped the concept of the money-grabbing second sequel, Die Hard with a vagueness. So, I have established that it is Emo, the greatest action thriller movie of all time. A classic, but does that mean it's a good movie? No, technically. The dialogue, for the most part, is extremely corny. Other than Bruce Willis, who powered his movie with a blend of charisma and in what I think it is his best movie rollover. And Rickman, who is delightfully over the top as the main body. The rest of the acting in a movie is possible at best. The film is not cerebral on any level, except as a study on mid-80s value system. And something I noticed for the first time last night, and its cinematography is terrible. Throughout the entire movie, there are lighting flare on the screen. This is not done for creative effect either, like it was for say Terminal. It's just sloppy. None of this really matters for this enjoyment of the film. The only question that matters is but it is fucking awesome. And yes, Die Hard is fucking awesome. What struck me while watching it last night is that there is no way this movie could be made today. Today's action detective would try to drown the movie in the excess that Liv dragged on most modern action films. They would want to throw in some CGI or wire work or bullet time, or they would be drawn out the color or frame every scene as a series of 10-second shot. They would be spent half the movie winking at the camera, using self-parody to cover some of the more unelastic or cliche moments. I think that's what is missing from modern action flick. Simplicity, Die Hard know what people wanted out of a popcorn flick. A likable hero taking down uncomplicated bad guys with a lot of explosion and guns. It is so hard. The greatest contribution to the history of the cinema that is flick make, besides giving Alan Rickman his movie debut, is a die-hard formula. A good guy with some military law enforcement training finds himself trapped in a terrorist hostage. Random chance. He systematically takes on and bad guys, despite overwhelming odds, who had planned for every possibility except the unexpected presence of our hero. Hero makes creative use of local, a lot of stuff blown up. For some reasons, there has been a debate the last couple of decades on whether Die Hard 1988 is a Christmas movie or not. There is no denying it's an action classic that helped cement Bruce Willis as a movie star. But on the other side of things, people like to argue about his Christmas season viewing merit. Stop arguing. Die Hard is 100% Christmas movie. Based on a 1979 novel Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorpe. Die Hard follows New York City cop John McClane as he travels to Los Angeles to visit his estranged wife and kids. Why? Because it is almost Christmas and he wants to reconnect with his family. Classic Christmas setup. When his wife Holly accepted a high-level job, the company is throwing an office party on Christmas Eve. That is until they are interrupted by a group of German robbers. Terrorists led by a radical named Hans Gruber. After slipping into hiding, McClane soon began picking off the gun-toting bad guys as they move about the building. Eventually, the local police and the FBI get involved with a situation. With MC Klein receiving help over a radio frequently from a certain cop named AI. Things get more explosive as Gruber becomes irritated. With MC Klein's action did outrunning his plan. Die Hard fires on all Klenger with his sharp writing and Ascos and Johann MC Titan lively direction. The script gives us an everyman hero in MC Klein, with his uncertainty and bravery brought to life perfectly by Willis. The character is not a muscly giant like many of the 80s action hero, but rather a relatable guy stuck in bad situation, who just so happened to have some kills to possibly do something about it. And he talked to himself a lot, which is hilarious. A lot of sporting characters have moments to shine too. Some of the co-op characters outside of the building are annoying, but the players in the building are interesting from Bardia. As Holy the wife to White as clever, limo driver, hard butcher, as lazy. The cast is full of the fun members. The only one who can steal scene from Billy's stuff is Rickman. He expertly paints Gruber as a sly and ruthless villain. Screenwriter Jeff Stott and Stamany. This also insert a lot of playful dialogue and idea preferences for the character to explore you. MC Klein is more than once referred to as a cowboy, and he has a mouth like a creative sailor. There are bites involving a watch, fish and toys, and other small things that could have been a Charovay dialogue in laser hand, but actually half pay off here. Titan film with much energy and violence also asks the audiences to pay attention to little story detail is impressive. Die Hard has brains as well as brawn. Speaking of brawn, the physical action scenes are plentiful. As at the shootout, all of them are cut and face exceptionally as a bullet, blood, and glass fly. MC Titan making the actually equally awesome Predator, added by the great technical team. Finds just a right rhythm in laying out the suspense and the mayhem of each set pieces. There are plenty of standard scenes, but a helicopter and roof explosion scene in particular is masterful. Such artistry helped the film to land for Oscar nomination. Effect, sound, and sound effect editing. All of the characters' conflict with witty banter and action situations are made even better by inclusion of the Christmas time setting. Because let's not forget the part that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. How? Let's get into it. The film takes place entirely on Christmas Eve at a holiday party setting, not just a smart extraction of the script, which is important because Gruber chooses that term because less people are at the building. And again, MC Klein is going to LA to be his family on Christmas. So both of the main characters have Christmas involved with their motivation. Christmas characters or songs are referenced throughout the film, while the various surfaces of the building are decorated too. As a villain is killed and they dress with a Santa hat for a joke. Gift wrapping types play a key role in MC Klein being able to take down bad guys in the climax. The resolution even has paper flying in the air, like snow while lighted show plays in the background and the heroes warmly embarrass each other. So stop there going, let's all agree that Die Hard is landmark action film as well as a festive Christmas classic. Because as the internet saying goes, it's not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls from the Nakatomi Tower. Christmas is just around the corner, awaiting for the perfect time to jump out and steal your wallet. So I guess it's time to start reviewing some Christmas, or at least winter, related movie. And we are starting off with a bang. A big loud bang. This is especially a good pick since I have never seen it before. I know, hate me, you want. John McClane Bruce Willis is a New York cop who goes to the Nakatomi Plaza in Los Angeles to see his wife Holly and celebrate Christmas with her and their kids. But while he is at the Nakatomi Plaza, it gets taken over by a German terrorist group led by a man named Hans Gruber. So it's Johan's love to return. Without his use, no, the promise is simple but great. And execution is pretty great too. It was entertaining to see MC Klein get it through the different situation the screenwriter puts him in. The story has some nice twists every now and then. Now, as in mindfuck twist. But twists that threw me off a little bit and I liked it. The character of John McClane is probably the most relatable action hero ever. Yes, he got all the battles of majority of action hero, but he also feels like a regular Jude cop man. He gets his ass handed to him a lot of but still come out on top afterwards. That is pretty realistic. He also cracks some great lines through the movie which just improve on him a lot. I also think Bruce Willis gave up good performances in this movie. Nothing Oscar worthy, but it was good for what was supposed to be. The sporting cast was pretty damn good too. First we have his wife who too good. Even she did not too much. Then we have Riz Nord who talked with the John over the walkie-talkie. Through the movie getting informed on the terrorists. Next is comeback reporter played amusingly. Enough by Watcher back from the Ghostbuster. And family the big man himself. Hans Gruber played by Alan fucking Rickman. He not only gives a great performances but is honestly one of the best movie villains ever. He is right up there with T-1000 and the Joker in how great a villain he is. So the characters are interesting and the acting is good. The score by Michael Scammer is pretty great. Johan an excellent job with the directing in this movie. Not only were the shot looking really good, but you could also see our reaction. The movie looked great in terms of camera work and action direction. Speaking of the action, it was pretty awesome. It looked great and was well choreographed and was very fast paced and versatile. This movie also has some pretty great lines in it, both in regular lines and cool one-liner, such as the always well-known JPK motherfucker, or one of my personal favorite from the movie. I don't know why it is, but it's amused me a lot. Now I have a machine gun. I just love that one. This movie's indie reception has become quite a classic. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 92% positive rating with a fresh certification on Metacritic. This movie has a 17 by 100. Gave the movie 2 by 4 star, which is not a terribly high score. This movie has an 810 and it's ranked 119 on the top 250 list. The movie was also nominated for 4 Oscars in the categories of Best Sound, Best Film Editing, Best Effect Editing, Best Visual Effect. Die Hard got great action, a good story, good characters, good music, and good camera. And Alan fucking Rickman. So it's time for the final score. And for Die Hard, my final score is in 952 by 10, which grants in the drum roll seal of approval. This year is finally coming to an end, which makes this a perfect time to discuss how John MC Die Hard is not actually a Christmas movie after all, but a classic tale almost 40 years ago. John McClane managed to thwart a terrifying attack on Plaza by Hans Gruber and his team. John is at the sense of attempt in a crime because of issue in his personal life, not because he is looking to become the next big hero. Nevertheless, he became this anyway. Since Die Hard clearly set around the holiday, it's become a staple to watch this December 25 and inches closer and closer, while John is attending a Christmas party. However, one can argue that the movie story aligns closer. The magic of Die Hard is that no matter what holiday you celebrate, it's still a great film. Die Hard may be almost 40 years old, but considering the movie seemed to get better with age, one could argue it's fair to classify this section masterpieces as modern. For those unfamiliar with the Jewish holidays, list 899 days, and occurs annually between the November and late December into the New Year, depending on the Hebrew calendar. Those observing use of the large middle candle or to the light one candle each night, with all 9 candles lit on the final night. Celebrate the successful revolt against the Greek Empire after they reclaimed the Second Temple. They found only enough oil to light their menorah for 1 year. It's burned for 8 days. Die Hard does not directly tell the story of buddy movies. Plot follows it pretty closely. Through John, the movie explored the one man's attempt to reclaim a massive and influential building from outsider, using nothing other than limited resources and one's powerful mind as tool. Although the skyscraper is initially taken by those willing to harm those inside for their own personal gain, we deliberate attempting to kill the light. Hope and perseverance won the long run. Clear no to mainstream, like the story of Jules and his army engages Lagude Empire. The underdog ultimately comes out on top and manages to end a conflict that initially feels never ending. In Die Hard, there is no doubt that John McClane loosely parallel the role plays in the story. Jules led by reward yet was severely archambaulted both in strength and body count. This comparison then automatically casts Hans Gruber and his fellow terrorists as his sleazoid empire, intelligent and quick-witted in his own right. Hans and his team attempt to take over Plaza purely for financial gain in the name of $640 million in untraceable, tightly locked away. The people at the holiday party in Die Hard are simply cultivated damage like this Seleucid empire. The attempt to maintain control and establish domination are ultimately thwarted. Die Hard managed to have something for everyone, with action, adventure, and even a touch of romance. With just a few well-developed characters, a terroristic plot, and an enormous building. This decade-old smarter pieces feature emotional high and low. Die Hard setting lands himself surprisingly well to a themed intervention plaza. The central element in the movie's plot can be seen as a stand-in for Second Temple. Much like in the temple, Johan must fight overwhelming, also regain possession for the good of the people inside. The movie itself is more dark than light, with Hans attempting to kill the light in the plaza several times. Hans's attempts are ultimately in vain. He does take out a city block at one point, with the light remaining on and Johan saving the day. Like hot oil in the 2nd century BCE, was meant to burn 41 days before extinguishing the, but ultimately serving for 7 additional nights. Die Hard features plenty of other references, although they are missed blink, and you will miss them moment. Nakatomi Plaza has an interesting exterior shop that one could playful imagine look like an extremely long daredevil. Another fun and interesting moment is when Nakatomi businessman Harry Alice's, who betrays John to Hans, who also says the word bubble bobby is the Yiddish word for grandfather. These lines automatically stick out, although Alice does use it out of context. Die Hard is a must-watch movie across the board, regardless of whatever holiday people celebrate. One of the best things about the action movie is that in the late 1980s, no one expected the MC Turner's project to gain any sort of profitable traction before Willis was finally cast as Johan McClane. On top of that, the casting department took a major chance on Rickman, who was exclusively a stage performer at the time. Rickman made his film debut as Hans Gruber when he was 42. By the end of the year, Die Hard became the highest grossing action movie and eventually secured nomination for 4 Academy Awards. Die Hard's journey from page to screen is quite a hand-drawn dog story, with the movie's timeless theme standing the test of time. John is the ultimate everyday man who may not be born a hero, but certainly evolves into the main rapid intensity. Similarly, John does not possess any extraordinary talent and has a lot of personal problems behind him. Still, with his mental strength, bravery, and common sense, he fulfilled the good aspect of the good universal evil, crop masterfully without seeming too over the top, hands operation in the same capacity, but on the other end of the spectrum, creating an excellent balance. Despite his abundance of action, our familiar and emotional aspect are too prominent to over-ignore. Die Hard may take place on Christmas Eve, but the beauty of the MC Turner's action film is that it can be enjoyed any time of the year. Holiday festivities set the initial scene, and are prevalent throughout the movie due to its single Earth location. But as everyone is quick to claim, the holiday setting is meant to boost John's conflict against Hans, not automatically drive it. John is for all intent and purpose the right guy to take down the terrorist plot, except that, from his point of view, he's the right guy in the wrong place at an incredibly bad time. The movie is meant to be enjoyed year round. It was re-released in July, after all, and continues to make a strong impact due to how everything managed to come together action-wise, conflict-wise, and character-wise. Die Hard aside, there are plenty of other movies to watch before, during, and after Friday the 12th, 1971 and The Hebrew Hammer 2003 are a classic, with the former being an adaptation of the Manhunter, a superhero comedy. Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Night 2002 and Regret. Our regrets also fall into this category. Regardless of the genre, there is no doubt that there are a lot of options to check out his handgun. It's always breath of fresh air to witness an action movie. Not only great, but one that turned out to be one of the most memorable films come out, especially decade after it is. Even it is not job to compete with the Raider of Lost Ark for a growing achievement in that genre. There is no question 1988 Die Hard and a place to why every person in the world loves this. Just no Jake from Brooklyn Nine would be the proud to be talking about the greatest movie of all time, in his opinion. John McClane is a New York cop who traveled to Los Angeles to visit his estranged wife during a Christmas party, hoping to reconnect with her. But it does not turn out to be the easiest night for him, as a group of terrorists led by Hans Gruber has taken over the Nakatomi Plaza and everyone hostage to steal money from a vault. With no escape, and realizing he is the only one who knows what's going on the inside. It's up to John to use his wits to take on the bad guys and save everyone. Die Hard is ultimately guys movie, and definitely an action movie that's one of my favorite of all time. My first exposure to this series was because of two things. I had a PlayStation game, Die Hard trilogy, and remembered having fun playing it when I had. The first movie I saw in the franchise was Life Free or Die Hard, the fourth installment that's underrated, and I saw it in theater with my dad. But I was already aware of how everything in the past played out, so I bought the DVD collection of the first three films because I wanted to see what the other was were like. It took me a while to finally check out this one that started it in all in entirety, but understand why it's popular with everybody when talking about it. Director John M.C. Tiernan, who also recently fresh off the Predator a year prior and originally turned it down a few times, was the best choice to take on a project like this that sounded like the most original idea to be based on. When the action was not happening right away, it surprisingly turned out to be a beautiful looking with the help of Jan cinematography, who was recently fresh out the Predator a year prior and originally turned it down a few times, was the best choice to take on a project like this that sounded like the most original idea to be based on. When the action wasn't happening right away, it surprisingly turned out to be a beautiful looking film. Since 1988, the debate has raised, is Die Hard this Christmas movie? While Bruce Willis himself has said it not, I respectfully disagree. What makes a Christmas movie anyway? Is it getting? But no matter how you feel about Die Hard's place in the holiday pantheon, surely we can agree that it's an iconic film that helped shape the modern action movie, launched the profile career of Willis, and gave the world some amazing fun-liner. Well, you know. On Christmas Eve, New York cop Johan McClane arrived at Nakatomi Plaza to attempt to patch things up with his estranged wife, Holly, during her company's holiday bash. Instead of a teary, heartfelt reunion, as shows less McClane finds himself navigating elevator shaft and aiders as he launched a one-man war against Rickman's Hans Gruber and friends armed with nothing but skepticism and his services weapon. Now, company Christmas parties are famous for awakened small talk, underwhelming ingong, and questionable. You don't need a group of terrorists led by Alan Rickman to turn a holiday scene into a disaster. John McClane is not your typical 80s action hero. He loses more than he wins. He's not a hulking mess of mystical or stoic master of martial arts. He is just a cop having a really bad guy, and is kind of a asshole. He is constantly beaten, bruised, shot, and blown up, and yet he does not stop. Not even after walking barefoot over broken glass or tying himself to a fire hose and leaping off a building. As the roof explodes, he does not give up. He also does not get more charming or less sarcastic. He is an incredibly believable regularly guy. Even Willis causing in the role reflected Die Hard narrative, better known for his role in TV comedy drama Moonlighting. Willis was reportedly several too many actors down on the list of people who were offered the role. The studio was so lacking in confidence in his ability to sell tickets as a lead that some of film's early promotional posters. Thankfully, the look they chose anyway. It paid for them, with the film grossing about $140 million, making it the year's highest grossing action film and 10th highest grossing film overall. But most importantly, it allowed us to bask in the grumpy, imperfect awesomeness that is Bruce Willis as John McClane. While McClane is our hero and is often feel like it's him against the world, it should be noted that he is now the only good guy in the movie. Bonnie Bedelia absolutely shines as his estranged wife. There is no in distress here. She is a sharp, capable follower to Gruber, repeatedly showing the grit and the determination it must have taken to be married to McClane for any length for term. There is also Sajid Al Powell played beautifully by Reginald, a built cup on the outside. Al brings moment of much needed humanity to the corners and act as lifeline to the battered McClane. Their radio conversation evolved from tense and tactical to heartfelt and vulnerable, with Powell becoming the McClane's emotional anchor and his backup when it counted most. And let's not forget Ergel, the limo driver with more heart and common sense, chilling in the parking garage the chance suffer here. His role is mainly providing occasional comic relief until he finally gets his own hero moment, tracking John, one of the bad guys. Every great hero needs a worthy adversary, and Die Hard delivers not just one, but an entirely ridiculous gallery of memorable villains. Some might see that is drawback, but I think it worked to emphasize the feeling that all doors are against McClane. At the top of this post of the antagonist is Gruber, played to perfection by the inimitable Alan Rickman. Just as McClane is not your usual action hero, Gruber is not your average bad guy. He is cultured, calculating and annoyingly charming in a pompous kind of way. He is calm, memorable, but Gruber does not operate alone, and the rest of the Nakatomi, they are not faceless henchmen for the most part. They are a colorful mix of personalities that bring depth to the cogs. And then there is the sporting cast of the antagonists who are not part of team but still manage to make them snorting self. Serving Sleaze who embodies the force of the corporate success. We have got it is supervillain Paul Grayson as a lab job team. Together these villains create a pressure cooker of conflict that elevate the tenor of Die Hard and leaves you rooting for McClane even more. Gruber's sophisticated madness paired with the chaotic energy of this new. Die Hard did not just redefine what an action movie could be. It became the blueprint for a whole new genre of storytelling. Die Hard was released in the summer of 1988 and in the more than 3 decades since its original run, has gone on to become one of the most beloved action movies of all time. It also turned Bruce Willis into a bona fide movie star and kick-started a successful franchise even it is ended up running itself into the ground, but all of that started with director John M.C. He has gone on to become one of the most beloved action movies of all time. It also turned Bruce Willis into a bona fide movie star and kick-started a successful franchise, even if it is a fault that started with the director John pitch perfect of an action blockbuster. Today we are going to discuss the movie's ending and why, aside from being a perfect button on a classic piece of popcorn cinema, it cements it cements Die Hard as a great Christmas movie as well. Die Hard centers who is visiting his estranged life Holly and children on Christmas Eve at her place of business. Plaza in Los Angeles, Dawn is grizzled cop from New York, whereas Holly is a successful businesswoman whose business took her elsewhere. This has splintered the once happily family, but John is doing his best to make amends with his holiday visit, starting with a Christmas party being thrown by Holly's company. Following a long flight, John decided to freshen up in Holly's office while she handled some things elsewhere. Taking the advice of the someone he met on a plan, he takes his shoes after we wrap his toys on the carpet. This proves to be a big mistake as a group of criminals arrive to shake up the party, led by no-nonsense Hans Gruber's Alan Rickman and his band of arguably European gang-toting henchmen. They intend to break out in Nakatomi's vault and steal the dishes contained within. They are not arrested with an agenda. They are not politically motivated. These are straight up criminals who want money of money's sake, plain and simple. Little do you know, separated from the rest of the party, is MC Glenn, the cop goes regio, without his badge, gun in hand and wearing a white tank that's about to get very dirty and bloody, just like he is bare feet. Hell yeah. John does an admirable job throughout Die Hard, making his way through the band of armed criminals one by one. He even got himself a machine gun to even the odds. This came at a cost, as MC Glenn has expended most of his ammo, exhausted himself physically, and cut up his face something fierce in an direction, with hands and his remaining underlying. Thankfully, after stealing a radio from one of formerly alive criminal, the everyman cop has been in touch with the police outside, namely SGT Al Powell. Ultimately, FBI make his decision to shut off power to the building, which is exactly what Hans wanted, as this disabled the NAS safe, allowing them to get the bombs contained within. Playing further into Hans' hand, the FBI agrees to his demands and sends a helicopter to the roof, where they attempt to kill the terrorists, with the idea being that she will be minimal hostage, but MC know that Hans plan to blow and roof, which would like everyone and allow them to escape with the loot. John managed to thwart the plan and save everyone from the roof, as well as seemingly taking out Gruber's fellow terrorist Garen. But a news report on the incident informs Gruber that Holly is, in fact, John's wife Gruber then take her hostage, setting the stage of the final. Within the hostage safe, John goes to find his beloved Holly. Unfortunately, John is even more exhausted, wounded, and does not have much ammunition. Just 2 bullets remain for the final showdown. MC Glenn, using his last bite of it, acts as his surrounding of hands and his remaining goal. But little do they know, he is a determined cowboy, has stopped his trusty pistol to his back. Just when Hans is getting ready to show down, he pulls the pistol from his bag with expert precision, kills Grover's final henchman and wounds the big boss. Unfortunately, Grover is not dead yet, and he is not about to go out in his own. He crashes through a window near the top of Nakatomi and grabs onto Holly's watch. Dangling from the building, Holly is the danger of going down with him. Yet John unclaps the watch in one of the most memorable deaths in cinema history. As things are wrapping up, Holly punches a newsman, Thornburg, and John finally meets the eye. However, Carol is actually alive and emerges, ready to kill both Holly and John, but AA draws his gun and saves the day. This deserves as a bite of redemption for him after suffering a tragedy in the field earlier in his career, shooting a young kid into the line of duty. A gal who helped thwart the criminal escape by smashing into their van in the parking garage, rolls up and escorts Holly and John away as he wonders how his company parties a New Year's given the event of the evening. For as much as we can discuss the norms of what makes Die Hard, great respectively simple structure is incomparable efficiency, an all-time great villain. Perhaps the movie's greatest legacy is one of the bared in the annals of cinema history. Namely, there are those who consider it a Christmas movie, and those who consider it a Christmas movie, and those who don't. One of the major takeaways from the movie's ending is that all of the thematic elements of a great holiday classic are in play. They are just discussed by lots of action and other such happening. But there is an argument to be made that this is indeed Christmas movie. And not just because it happened to take place around a holiday. What do we want out of a holiday movie? Family, conflict, lessons learned, a happy ending, and if possible something we can watch repeatedly on an annual basis without its growing old. Die Hard has all of that. John and Holly loves one another, but their marriage was fractured by love's journey. It was ultimately the holiday that brought them back together, and they had to go through his turbulent experience with one another together. It allowed Johan to demonstrate in a pretty extreme way just how much Holly and his family mean to him. Love was rekindled as a result of this undead Christmas experience. While indirectly Die Hard, with the weekends would once again throw their marriage into trouble. John learned lesson about what is most important to him, and experiences brought him back together with his family. Lessons were learned through conflict, brought on by the holiday season. And yes, ultimately we got a happy ending with a classic Christmas song, Needle Drop along with it. No matter what camp one falls into, I surely don't have to convince anyone of this movie's rewatchability factor. There is a lesson over 30 years later. We are still thinking about it so fondly. Am I going to end this where the internet loves us to have? No, I am not. However, I think the biggest argument in favor of Die Hard being a Christmas movie is contained within the movie's ending. If you know where to look, thinking about being watching a all the Die Hard movie, you can typically find every one of them on various streaming platforms. At the 1985 American Business Conference, President Ronald Reagan gunned down attacks increased by quoting Dirty Harry. Go ahead, make my term. For better or worse, there are few more iconic instructions of age and gender than the 80s action movie. The PG-13 rating allowed for a whole new audiences to enjoy mentioned violence at the multiplex. Law enforcement came in the unit of two and spoke only in banter. Budget stunt and physics belonged in an alarming tandem. Less than a decade after he begged producer to let him buy Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone scared a record-breaking $12 million to play a professional arm wrestler. The access was exceptional. Die Hard, Aliens, The Road Warrior, Conan the Barbarian. The 80s action pantheon is so ingrained. The players so much larger than life that it is easy to overlook the rest of what the Reagan era had to offer. The following 17 films rarely appear among lists of the decade's finest, but they are no less essential to the Kiss Bang Bang business. A sign of the time that writer's actor Peter wanted to make a western and only got a green light after turning it into the significantly more expensively. Living on the low meanings colony is like living inside a carburetor. Natural light is only a fond memory. Somewhere on the list below intimacy and civilization. Workers sleep in floor-to-ceiling bunk. Bodies arrive early at the morgue window or security office. The view never changes. Stars, screens, and sirens all blink in the same abyss. Costume designer Johan Molo and composer Jerry Goldsmith were fresh off Alien. The Lord Company would co-produce Blade Runner the following year. The pedigree is unmistakable. Outland could exist in the same universe as Alien without even a rewrite. But what sets Outland apart is the retrograde grid. For all his lavish set, that comes crude and robbery. For half his day after tomorrow tech, the weapon of choice is a sword of shotgun. And for all his drawn out family drama, Sean Connery is Sean Connery. No Way Out is thriller and early on barely. Squeakily clean Sailor Queen Conster made beautifully stranger scene. Young at a political banquet. They lost a cloud immediately and had not long after. Only then does she reveal her other lover. Secretary of Defense Jan Hackman, who also happened to be Costner's new boss. Before the two parties involved can come to be conscious, the Testones run her over. Over the course of a single night, Costner's character finds himself framed as both a murderer, an intelligence community Bigfoot, a Russian double agent embedded deep within the American government known as its Yuri. The catch is Costner is tasked with researching for Yuri. Now that Hackman's investigation will eventually find evidence leading to his arrest. But he has not yet. Director says he hooked beautifully on the Blu-ray commentary. The back nine of No Way Out is a franchise race against a slow bullet Costner. Still Tom Cruise, contemporary and not at Americana made flash sweet through the screen. It outruns cars the combined might of the Pentagonic security. Tommy Lee Jones plays Quint, a bone dry master thief. He's a snake pigskin prototype down to the cassette tape that affairs have enlisted him to steal. The world may not have ended yet, but Quint can already see the cloud and knows it's none of his business. He finally meets his match in Nina, the Cadillac of Linda Hamilton out of the Terminator. It is all flint and shoulder pads. She makes the most of a role already doomed by all big romance. But neither of them are the real star anyhow. The titular Black Moon was played by a one-of-a-kind prototype, the 1980s Wingo Consortia, and several stunt double. Parked it looks like a lunch tray reveal. As speed it's a lunch tray with a wheel and twin the fireball on the bumper. What does a jet-powered supercar have to do with a politically sensitive mixture? Not much, but when each one is the festival. Intimacy is scored by the and every year, Dr. Zalumi Lee Jones says who care. Peter Weller entering singing Purple Haze in a power suit, blending a morning cocktail of milk, orange juice, Maxwell, instant coffee, and raw eggs. Same wakes a little later in a time scare movie, roused by the director's own great action movie. The rest of the shakedown does not disappoint. Writer-director James Inflict would be the stereotype. There was not much road left for the subgun in 1988, but refreshing complication Weller is a formally wide-eyed layer one waiting away from full-blown is more well-maker than man. But the only thing in world he hates more than himself are his openly corrupt secure mate. Together they hate the street to become the go they always wanted to be. Shakedown is the godlike mean of the absurdity. Not too little too much, but just right. The dirty cops are played brutally straight. Yet Elliot always offered to let his civilian use his gun while to drive. Our 10-foot chase across Coney Island ends with the cyclone derailing into a hot dog stand. A skirt is not the right place, and there is no reason to let that jet get in way.